Hello and good morning, and welcome to the BCSF's annual Bodhi Day Service. My name is Keira.
I'm James, and we are the members of BCSF Junior YBA and are training today's service. Bodhi Day commemorates the historical Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, experienced enlightenment.
While this video is being recorded, it is only being recorded in speaker view, and only the service participants will be recorded. So everyone is welcome to keep your cameras on during the service if you wish to. Also, please mute your mic if you have not already done so. Thank you.
During today's service, we will begin with the reading of three treasures. After that, we will have chanting of Gassho To Amida, led by Dr. David Patting. Our Dharma talk will be given by our supervising resident minister, Henry Adams. Following this, we will have a meditative reading. We will have appreciations and announcements, then close with Gatha, the Bodhi Tree, written by Linda Castro, performed by Misaye Abiko, Michael Fujimoto, Yukiko Oka, and Betty Fujimoto.
We will now begin the group reading of the three treasures, number 1. It can be found on page 8 in the purple service book. It will also be projected on the screen so you can follow along. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be free from all hindrances, becoming units of true according in the life of harmony, in the spirit of universal oneness, free from the bondage of selfishness. Even though marred ages of countless hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear it and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
Next, we will have chanting of Gassho with Amida, which will be led by Dr. Patting.
Please, Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Gassho To Amida, to the hymn of Junirai. Namo Amida Butsu. I recite Amida's name with deep joy and gratitude. I Gassho To Amida. Trees and grasses and flowers all grow in great compassion. Its light shine throughout the world. I Gassho To Amida. Flowers bloom and flowers fall. From the seed sprout new flowers. This is truth unchanging. I Gassho To Amida. Springtime brings the happy birds. Their song all praise Amida. I join them in Nembutsu. I Gassho To Amida. When I call Amida's name, it's Amida calling me. Its voice and my voice are one. I Gassho To Amida. When I'm lonely, I recite Namo Amida Butsu. Then I feel one take my hand. I Gassho To Amida. Nembutsu in work and play. Every day with Amida. Every moment filled with light. I Gassho with Amida. Remember the golden chain, kindness to all living things. I will follow this teaching. I Gassho To Amida. In the clear bright morning sun, in the fading light of day, in the darkness of the night, I Gassho To Amida. Namo Amida Butsu. I live in its compassion. The great power guides my life. I Gassho To Amida. Namandabu, 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 Namandabu. Ganishiku doku, Yodo seisai, Do hon mo dai ishin, Ojo an rako. Namo Amida Butts, Namo Amida Butts, Namo Amida Butts, Namanda Butts, Namanda Butts, Namanda Butts, Namanda Butts. May all beings be happy and well. Namo Amida Butts, Namo Amida Butts, Namo Amida Butts.
Now, we will have a Dharma talk from BCSF Supervising Minister Reverend Henry Adams.
Namandavats, 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 Namandavats. Namandavats. Please join me in Gassho. Such is the benevolence of Amida's great compassion that we must strive to return it, even to the breaking of our bodies. Such is the benevolence of the masters and true teachers that we must endeavor to repay it, even to our bones becoming dust. Namandavats, 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 Namandavats. Hello, I'm Reverend Henry Adams, the Supervising Minister of the Buddhist Church of San Francisco. I'd like to begin by wishing you a happy Bodhi Day. In this season when the days are getting shorter, we're spending more of our time in darkness, it's getting a little bit colder. We share in this worldwide custom of looking to the light, looking to the brightness of wisdom to lighten our hearts and to bring a little bit of warmth into our days as the days grow shorter and a little bit darker. And so at this time, we're here celebrating Bodhi Day, and we have a special tree here. I'm not sure if this is familiar to any of you. Does anyone know what this is called? right? I think maybe a few people maybe said a Bodhi tree, right? This is a Bodhi tree. I'm here at the San Mateo Buddhist Temple, where I also serve as the resident minister, and we have this beautiful Bodhi tree that was donated by one of our temple members many years ago and has been nurtured from a little sapling up into this beautiful tree that we have here. And so each year we bring it into the Hondo, and we have a special person sitting here beneath the Bodhi tree. Do you recognize this person? Do you know who that is? Right? That is Shakyamuni Buddha, or when he was sitting underneath the Bodhi tree at first, he was not quite the Buddha, and he was known as Siddhartha Gautama. And so this Bodhi Day service is the service when we celebrate his enlightenment, and he became enlightened sitting in the shade of the Bodhi tree. The Bodhi tree is a very important symbol in Buddhism, and I want to talk a little bit about that Bodhi tree and why it's so important. And it's a representation or an expression of a teaching that we call the middle way. The middle way is one of the basic principles of how we try to live our lives as Buddhists. And it was in discovering this middle way that Siddhartha or Shakyamuni Buddha realized his path to enlightenment. And so I want to talk a little bit about his journey to discovering that middle way and why it was so important that he sat here beneath the shade of the Bodhi tree to seek his final stage on the way to enlightenment. So he grew up in a very, very comfortable circumstance. His father was the king. He was the prince, and it said that he lived a very, very comfortable life, that everything that he would want was immediately provided for him. Before he would even wish that he had it, it was already there for him. It said that he grew up living in 3 palaces. So he had one palace that was in a nice, cool area up in the mountains where he could go when it was getting a little bit too hot. He had another palace that was out in a dry area, maybe kind of like Arizona or Nevada here in the United States, where he could go in India, where he lived. He could go to this other area when it started to rain. He would get a little break from the rains. And then when it started to get too cold, he would then go back to that first palace, which was in a nice warm area. Right? So he was able to travel and experience these great comforts. And this was all because of the love and the kindness of his father, who wanted to shelter him and to prevent him from having any sense of desire or wanting things. Thought, I'll give him everything that he needs. Now, Siddhartha grew up in this environment. He was always given the most delicious food. He was always surrounded by the most interesting and good-looking and fun companions. Whenever somebody got a little bit sick or weren't looking too good, they would be sent out of the palace so that Siddhartha would not see anything that would be unpleasant. So he lived this life of getting everything that one might want. And even though he received all of these things, he still wasn't happy. He wasn't satisfied. And he began to question and wonder, isn't there more to life than just getting everything that one wants all the time? And so he began to question and to wonder, there must be more to life. And so he famously took a journey outside his palace, and he traveled out the 4 gates of his palace. He met a sick person. He met an elderly person. He saw a funeral procession. And he met someone who had renounced all of the comfort and all of the pleasures of life, all the stuff, and had sought the way. And Siddhartha said, that's what I want to do. I can see in this person's eyes that they've discovered something that I too want to seek. And so he went from realizing that getting all the stuff, everything you want, right? That's not going to bring satisfaction. to the complete opposite way of living, right? So he had his first insight was that seeking pleasure and getting all the stuff that you want is not going to bring lasting happiness, right? Now, most of us don't have 3 palaces and we don't get everything we want, but what this story tells us is that these things that we seek, these physical, material things, all the toys, all the fun, all the delicious food, it's not going to bring us lasting happiness. And so he abandoned all of that and he went in the complete opposite direction. He went to a life of seeking out uncomfortable situations. He didn't want any of that comfortable stuff. So it's said that he went and he lived in the most uncomfortable places. He would specifically go to a place that was really, really hot, really, really cold. He would sleep on uncomfortable, rocky surfaces if he slept at all. Right? He tried to go down to as little pleasure as he could, seeking to thinking he could become free from his attachment to pleasure by seeking uncomfortable, difficult situations. Right? And so he went from getting everything he wanted, right, to not even getting the things that he needed. Right? It said that as he progressed, he got to a point where he was just eating 1 single grain of rice a day. Right? He was getting almost no sleep. He was trying so hard to become enlightened. And so at that time, while he was doing those very difficult practices, he was traveling through a forest. It said that he collapsed, he fell down on the ground. He was so exhausted and he was lying there almost unconscious. And when at that time, passing through a forest, there came a young girl named Sujata. Now Sujata was also from a very comfortable family. And it said that her family had the finest cattle in all of the land. It said they took their finest, most beautiful cows, the 1,000 best cows they had, and they milked them all, so they got the milk from these cows, and then they took 100 of those very best cows, and they fed them that delicious milk, that finest milk. And then after that, they milked those 100 cows, and they gave that milk to the 10 finest cows. Those 10 cows drank up the milk, and then of those 10, the very best cow was chosen to drink that milk. And then the final cow, they chose the best cow, and it received that fine milk, and then they milked that cow, and they created this beautiful, delicious milk that was then taken into the forest to make an offering. They said there was a sacred space in the forest where they would go to make offerings to show their appreciation and their gratitude for this comfortable life that they were able to live. Just like we make offerings here, you can see we have things set up for a special service. We have some persimmons and some fruit and some other items, some beautiful flowers that we place up as an offering. Maybe you do this at your home obutsudan, right? So Sujata had this offering of the finest milk. She was carrying it through the forest when she saw, lying there on the ground, this monk, this man who was emaciated. He was so skinny. He was lying there. She wasn't quite sure if he was alive or if he was dead, but she went closer to him and saw he was breathing. She thought, this person really needs some nourishment. This person needs something to drink and something to eat. And she had this fine, delicious milk that was refined with great care, and she gave this milk to Siddhartha. And then drinking this milk, he was revived. And he realized, tasting it, this is a special, special gift that I have received. And for the first time in his life, he had an insight. He realized that the way to awakening is not through seeking pleasure. The way to live a happy and peaceful life is not through denying everything what I need. It's not to go to this other extreme, but it's through finding this middle way. And in that moment, his heart filled with gratitude. Right? And so, to me, the middle way is the heart of gratitude. It's the heart of feeling thankful and appreciative for what we have received. There's a Japanese word you may have heard, arigatai. Sometimes around the temple you may hear people say, arigato. Right? We think that it means thank you, which it does, but the real meaning of this word is it's difficult to exist. It's difficult for it to be, which is a recognition that this life, everything we receive, is given to us through the great efforts of many people. So Siddhartha received this milk. He awakened to this truth, and then he realized that the path to awakening is this middle path, this path of receiving and being supported by the kindness of others. And so in that moment, his life changed profoundly. When he was growing up, he got all of these things, everything he wanted. I don't think anything probably seemed difficult to obtain. Everything just came so easily. Then he went to this other extreme where he didn't receive anything. Right? He wasn't welcoming anything. Wasn't welcoming any gifts, any support. Just going off completely on his own. Very difficult circumstances. And then when he met Sujata, then he began to receive these gifts of delicious food, and she would bring him nourishing food each day. He began to sit in the shade of the Bodhi tree. Sit here, covered, protected from the rain, protected from the sun. And it said that there was a grass cutter, a woodsman, who was passed through the forest, and he would give Siddhartha these comfortable leaves, a cushion of leaves, a cushion of grass upon which to sit. And so, receiving these gifts, then he was able to truly dedicate himself to seeking the path to awakening. So he sat beneath the tree. He vowed to stay in that place. He was able to do so thanks to the generosity of what he had received from others. And he sat and he meditated and he concentrated and he looked deeply into the matters of life and death, what is most important in our lives. And it said that as he was deep meditating through the night, and as the morning star arose, that he received awakening. He became enlightened in that moment. He woke up to the truth. He became a Buddha. The word Buddha is not a name, it's a title. It means one who has woken up. So he woke up from this dream, this nightmare of thinking only about oneself. Right? He woke up to this deep concern for others, this deep understanding that we are all connected, that we all care for one another, and to receive this care with gratitude is the first step to move forward on our path. Right? So Sujata, she gave him a gift of this milk that had been nourished through this long process of feeding it to all these cows and to the finest cow, down through this long process. This fine milk was received that he took as this gift. The Buddha, he also provides us with a gift that was refined over many lifetimes, something that is a pure essence, a pure flavor of enlightenment. That gift that we receive from Shakyamuni Buddha is the words Namo Amida Butsu. After he became enlightened, he dedicated his life to teaching the path to freedom from suffering, the path for all people. And for me, and for you, for all of us, he provides these words, Namo Amida Butsu, which means I take refuge in the awakened one, the Buddha of immeasurable light and life, Amida Buddha. We direct our minds to Amida Buddha. We receive this pure and refined gift of wisdom and compassion from Shakyamuni Buddha. We say these words, Namo Amida Butsu, in gratitude. This is the lesson that the Buddha shared with us. This is expressed in these words of the Ondoksan that I read at the start of my talk. And so as we, at Bodhi Day, remember Shakyamuni Buddha sitting beneath the Bodhi tree, let us remember this middle way to enlightenment. This middle way, which is to not get caught up in chasing after our wants, at the same time, not to deny our needs, but most importantly, to recognize all that we receive, this precious life that we receive, this precious wisdom and compassion that we receive in these words, Namo Amida Butsu. So at this time, I invite you to join me in Gassho. Let us together receive this refined gift of the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namam Dabutsu, Namam Dabutsu, Namam Dabutsu, Namam Dabutsu.
Thank you, Sensei. We now present the gatha, the Bodhi Tree, performed by Misaye Abiko, Michael Fujimoto, Yukiko Oka, and Betty Fujimoto.
This tree from a faraway country, with leaves in the shape of a tear, like seed and lots of sunshine, and doesn't grow very well up here. The Dharma's not like a tree, it can grow anywhere on the earth at all. Like a shower of rain, bringing life again to the dry and thirsty ground. The Dharma touches all living things, the whole world round. You may live in a very large city, or in the village of mountains above. You may speak Chinese, English, or Pali, but we can all speak the language of love. For the Dharma's not like a tree, it can grow anywhere on the earth at all. Like a shower of rain, bringing life again to a dry and thirsty ground. The Dharma touches all living things, the whole world round.
Now we have a meditative quote by Thich Nhat Hanh. Enlightenment. If you breathe in and are aware that you are alive, that you can touch the miracle of being alive, then that is a kind of enlightenment. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
We'd like to thank Elaine, Donlin Sensei, Reverend Dr. David Patim, Reverend Henry Adams, and Kevin Yoza for helping us to chair the service, and also Misaye Abiko, Michael Fujimoto, Yukiko Oka, and Betty Fujimoto, and BJ Soriano for their gatha performances. Are there any announcements?
I just wanted to make one quick announcement that for now on, the Sunday services Dharma link, Zoom link will be the same. So we don't have to keep searching for a new Zoom link. This should make it easier for logging on. So just to let you know, this link that we're using today will work for all of our Sunday services that are via Zoom.
Please enjoy the following Gatha, When I Light a Candle to the World, written by BCSF member BJ Serrano. As presented during Friday's BCSF Bodhi Eve service, please be sure to stay after the Gatha is over to say hello to one another. Thank you for joining us for today's virtual Shanghai service. Take care, stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Dabutsu, Namo Dabutsu, Namo Dabutsu, Namandas, Namandas, Namandas.
When I light a candle in this world, it reminds me of impermanence and suffering. When I light a candle in this world, it reminds me of Amida's great compassion. When I light a candle in this world, I feel that I am embraced by the light. When I light a candle in this world, it is because I want a world of hope. When I light a candle in this world, faces of loved ones appear in the glow. When I light a candle in this world, it warms my heart like the Nembutsu. When I light a candle in this world, it gathers all on land and space and ocean. When I light a candle in this world, it shares the gifts of joy and trust and vision. When I light a candle in this world, it helps to guide people in the darkness. When I light a candle in this world, it lights my path toward world peace. When I light a candle in this world, grace begins to flow between us all. When I light a candle in this world, a calm celebration links you and me. When I light a candle in this world, it connects me to love in my heart. When I light a candle It will connect